Greetings and salutations to thy team of ultimates! Craft thy team of ultimates with NCAA campus champions of yesteryear. Choose a complimentary pioneer team consisting of strategy books and garbs of thine collegiate of choice. Begin thy team of ultimates! Colorado University seems like a cool choice. Dig the color scheme, get to be the friendly roaming buffalo, and it's the state that was queefed into existence. I love this idea! Now, what pro players made this their alma mater? So far, it looks like none of these motherfuckers went to the CU. Fine! Not like it's gonna matter. Most of these queef bricks are gonna be irrelevant soon anyway. I just wish I got a Dallas Clark so I could slip in a T. Martin joke. Not getting that joke, it might ruin my street cred with the football gaming community. Then again, playing NCAA over Madden might already leave people thinking I ain't shit. I don't think there's any winning from my pasty ass on this one. Yo guys, this is Jared, aka the Stadium Sins on Xbox Live, finally coming to you with some NCAA Football 14 Ultimate Team. And to kick things off, we're diving into some packs to establish the makeup of my team before we take it to the online arena to face off against some heavy hitters. Of course I was going to tackle the first solo challenge to earn a beginner pack, which nets the addition of Jason Snelling and Najee Good to my unit. But being the football nub that I am, and having been so out of practice with NCAA, I broke down and bought a gold starter pack. Yeah, that's right. I threw $1 at EA Sports. A whole fucking dollar, and the bastards didn't even throw in a lap dance. I'm so highly disgusted in myself, but hey, at least I got some good value out of these players. Shit, some of these guys are still the core of my team. Emerson, Ballard, Nolan, Reed, Houston, Salas, Allen. Hell, I'm still rocking the speedy Case Keenum as my quarterback of choice. This pack would give me a huge break in building my team, giving me a lot more confidence in my play style. A heavy run-based offense balanced off with short passes to move the chains. I'm looking more for strength in the backfield and good balanced tight ends who can hold blocks for the run, but also have strong, reliable hands. Bonus points if they're soft. Here I pick up Terrell McClain to add to my team. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Of course he's not the most ideal addition, but I'm broke out here in these streets. I keep what I can get, and plus it gives me a chance to reference some Die Hard. Not very often, but it's a chance nonetheless. A Ryan Quigley pull goes straight to the auction house to help with my financial standings, as did the cocky. The more I got to play these solo challenges, the more I got to experiment with how I wanted this team to feel on the field. That highlight of Ballard bowling over a defender for a touchdown against Clemson helped secure another gold upgrade pack that nets me a Vontae Davis. I sat on him a bit too long to make big corn off of him, but I was unsure of what to do with him. He looked like a great addition for my secondary, but being broken nut isn't exactly the glamorous life. So with enough coin to buy an All-American pack without breaking the bank, I opted to pick one up before heading off on my first season head-to-head game in the online arena. Yeah, this was not a good investment. At least not the way I played it. That Levon Brazil was a good pickup to move for a ton of coin considering it's part of a collection, but I didn't get much for it on the auction house. The Jermaine Curse moved for something at some point. I can't remember if that BJ Raji was sold off or was used off on my bench, but he wasn't a big deal either. But enough of the foreplay! It's time to get your nipples hard and ready for this one. I'm entering into this with no previous experience on the online gridiron, so it should make for an interesting venture. The goal of Season 1? To at least be 500 or better? If I can manage that, then I can move the goalpost for future seasons to do better. I may watch a lot of football gameplay commentators who specialize mostly in Madden, because NCAA is like the redheaded stepchild you have to endure to getting good with its Victoria's Secret model mother, but a lot of the things they talk about in terms of gameplay strategy tends to go over my head. So I'll be testing out a lot of things before finding some comfort on both sides of the ball. But at the moment, defense doesn't look like it'll be my strong suit as I'm forced to hold firm on a 3rd and short conversion. A play action to Sanders, and Rodgers can't get the pass off as Justin Houston gets the deflection in the backfield. That brings up 4th and 2. So far, I've been left to worry about the run game as Sanders has been shredding me, but I over-pursue the read option with Najee good, and Rodgers is off to the races for a huge gain downfield. That was just some horrible users on my part. I guess we can start calling me the Saint of No Sticks. Not exactly a marketable nickname, but I'm sure it won't catch on as there are a number of people who think I have more than enough alternate monikers to go by. Anyway, RecallingOmega refuses to let my defense off the field as he's been no-huddling practically after every play. He's marching down the field in hopes to score quickly, but he's failed to take many shots down the field, and the shots he has taken have mostly been into coverage. Another 4th down situation as Rodgers drops back to find Dallas Clark, who drops the reception before getting cleaned up. The imaginary Cowboy tight end couldn't hold on to the ball, and now it's time to go on offense. Boom! Finally got in the jab at T. Martin. Several months too fucking late. Alright. After a short Greg Solis reception sets up a 2nd and 4 opportunity, my opponent stacks the right side showing blitz. But I'm not afraid to run as Vic Ballard cuts back to the inside to gain 6 on the ground. This is what I want. This is how I want to play ball. Grind them out and tough out yards. I don't want to spend money or coins trying to get man beaters to streak in 40 and 50-yard bombs. Just ground it and pound it. I just like moving the chains and relying more on my backfield. Sometimes I get too run happy, and I also allow my opponent too much time to set up while I make reads as pressure comes off the right side to stop Ballard for a 2-yard loss, setting up a 3rd and 6. But I'm persistent. I know I can gain the yards on the ground, and that's how I plan to get them as Ballard gets the delayed handoff and fights forward, but comes up 2 yards shy of the marker to end the 1st. The punt allows my opponent to start off from their own 20, and it's back to trying to contain the run game, which opened up a lot of problems for me defensively. The play action sees Rodgers drop back and find a hole over the middle, but the receiver drops the pass just before getting hit. That could have been a big start to the drive as RecallingOmega is now starting to look downfield to take bigger shots against my D. Another big shot downfield as Rodgers hooks up with Palmer, who scampers down for 29 before finally being brought down from behind. Those are the kinds of plays my opponent was in need of more on his first drive, but better late than never as he's now starting to stretch my defense for all of its worth. Another big play sets up a 2nd and inch situation. The handoff to Sanders to the right, but a cutback to his left finds him a few more yards beyond the chains. Now I'm beginning to worry about this defensive line as we've not put enough pressure on the backfield this entire drive. This hurry-up offense is starting to expose my team's weak secondary. 1st and 10 from Colorado's 36 as the play action to Sanders results in a big-time sack. A loss of 9 on the play. AJ Hawk crashed up the gap completely untouched. Finally a chance to catch our breath and readjust our approach as Rodgers rolls right and fires off of his back foot. But Brandon Taylor bats that pass down to bring a 3rd and 19. Now my defense is looking a bit more competent as RecallingOmega is making some terrible reads, throwing into coverage once more, setting up 4th and forever. My opponent has set up this nasty tendency to go for it on every 4th down, but a stop here will put me in good field position to run out clock and get some points on the board. Shame we couldn't actually get the bloody stop. 2nd and 10 at Colorado's 19 as Rodgers drops back for a mile before hooking up with John Connor for a 6-yard reception. The no-huddle offense rushes to the line of scrimmage to snap off another play, and I'm scrambling in anticipation for the run. 3rd and 4. Handoff to Sanders, who has a hole, but it clogs up as he's wrapped up from behind and kept from moving forward. 2-yard gain on the ground, and I'll burn my first time out of the half. A big-time stop looks to settle my opponent with 3 on the board. No, it's a fake that is unsuccessful. Turnover on downs, and I'll take over on the 11 with less than a minute 30. Play action to Ballard. Keenum looks to unload as he fires to Greg Solis, who can't come down with it clean. A drop pass that likely could have been picked had the strong safety played that one a bit closer. After terrible blocking by Henry Hanoski, I stare down a 3rd and 8 situation. Keenum surveying the field, fires, and connects with Solis for a 9-yard reception that moves the chains. Some poor clock management on my part leads me to trying to rush in a play after a failed attempt to call for a no-huddle. The mistake is costly as Keenum throws the ball away for an easy interception. RecallingOmega has another chance to break the ice as my defense comes back out onto the field, just playing to prevent any touchdowns. The pass is picked off and David Amerson has nothing but green ahead of him. He's got to step over Barry Sanders in this foot race to the end zone. Touchdown Colorado as the first half comes to a close. That was a tremendous takeaway to redeem my offensive blunder that put my defense's back up against the wall, and a fabulous way to finally get on the scoreboard. You couldn't script a better exchange. 3rd and 3, and we're back to the ground as Ballard heads off to the right, crossing the first down marker, but he's pushed back before being brought down just inches from a new set of downs. Forward progress on that one was negated thanks to Vic's attempt to correct himself after the push-off. I have no problems taking my 3, but it's heartbreaking to think I could have tacked on more after the excellent field placement spotted to me. Frustration seems to be setting in for my opponent, who is no huddling after a drop pick. That speed option was risky as I had AJ Hawk in position to help in slowing the play down, but in all honesty, I likely should have picked the pitch. 3rd and 7, Rodgers drops back, looking, steps up and throws. That's all Derek Johnson, but he can't hang on to it, bringing up 4th and 7 from Louisville's own 20. That pass was way off the mark from its intended target, Percy Harvin. But my opponent stretched the middle of my defense, connecting with Dallas Clark to bring them to the 42, about a 21-yard gain. 2nd and 10, and RecallingOmega will keep to the air as he bombs one over the middle that Troy Nolan will play tough and deflect. Incomplete. My defense is either now completely frustrating my opponent or he's just making some terrible reads. No matter how you look at it, this is one game slipping out of his hands as Charles Woodson comes up with a huge 4th down pick with a little over 2 minutes remaining on the game clock. Time to ground and pound once more as the toss to Ballard heads off to the right. A quick cut back inside allows him to stretch the field some more and pick up the 1st down. This entire game, I've been finding success with the run. It's established well enough that any attacks to the air are more successful thanks to a fear of trying to contain my backfield. A minute 43 as the clock continues to drip on this drive. The handoff to Ballard, and he has blocks up ahead as he cuts through the middle, balls over a defender, and fights to fall forward, picking up another 1st down. Despite not hitting pay dirt, Ballard has been a force this entire game as he continues to shred the defense, finding a large hole, and he will finally see the end zone completely untouched. A 17-yard run to put this game to rest, barring any defensive collapses. The blocking was huge this entire game, and the defense really made some critical stops. But on the ensuing kickoff, Barry Sanders finds a hole after a big cut left from the center and looks to be gone. A huge return places RecallingOmega's hopes of climbing back into this game as a realistic plausibility if he can finally make some proper reads and manage the clock and his timeouts properly. First play of the drive, and he's already inside my 30 after a big time pass to Santana Moss for 16 yards. After a poor scramble that saw Rodgers losing 8 yards to avoid the sack, he would hook up with Nathan Palmer for a 14-yard gain, setting up a 3rd and 4, but too much time was wasted and he's now just fighting for some moral victory. The scramble from Rodgers picks up the 1st down, but a quick timeout is called as he'll look to send his kicking unit to the field to break up my shutout as he lines up for the 31-yard field goal. The kick is up and good, and your final in this one is going to be a 17-3 Sinners victory after a failed onside kick is recovered by Danny Amendola. Offensively, the player of the game was Vic Ballard, who averaged 5.9 yards on 12 carries. And though we were outclassed in total offensive yards, the end result speaks of a completely different game. Case Keenum was very effective in his limited throwing attempts, hooking up 4 out of 6 attempts for 37 yards, in contrast to Rodgers' 8 for 22 for 122 yards and 2 interceptions. The O-line was impressive in protecting Keenum and in opening holes for Ballard to run, but the defense was stellar in keeping my opponent off the board for the majority of the game, collecting some pivotal stops on 4th down attempts. Of course, the turning point to all of this was that 66-yard pick 6 by David Amerson to end the first half. That interception changed the entire momentum of the game as well as broke the silence and is your play of the game.